Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to abolish pensions and emoluments to former governors and their deputies. What are the implications? We give you insight into them tonight. And President Muhammadu Buhari has backed the registration process of the Buni-led caretaker committee of the APC amidst controversies and agitations within the political party. Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today on Channel Television. I'm Shion Kimbaloye in our Lagos studio. Tonight, our attention is on the plan of the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to repeal the law which gives former governors and their deputies life pension and other benefits. We will find out tonight on the reasons he's giving and the implications of that decision. So stay with us, everyone. You want to also have an idea of what this is all about, what are they entitled to, and the premise of the economy which the governor gave. But first, let's bring you up to speed with some of the other stories that we're following for you. In the internal crisis rocking the ruling All Progressives Congress APC and the caretaker committee led by the governor of Yobe State, Mayor Mala Buni. Earlier today, Mr. Buni met with President Buhari and he said the president has given his blessings on the planned registration exercise planned to be carried out by the party interim leadership. That is being a subject of controversies in the past days. Mr. Buni spoke to journalists after meeting with President Buhari at the presidential villa.
Is seeking for any job. We already have a job, but we have to sacrifice ourselves to ensure that we reposition the party. So anybody who is thinking that maybe we are job seekers, he is wrong. We are not job seekers. We are here to work for our party, to reposition our party, to reunite our party, to solidify our party, to ensure that we have a party we can all be proud of. This is our mandate and we are ready to discharge our mandate. That is left for National Executive Committee of the party to decide. It is not me or the caretaker committee to decide, because what we are trying to do is we are operating within the limits of our assignment, because the National Executive Committee of the party said we must rebuild the party bottom up.
Away from party politics, some news over the EndSARS protest and its aftermath. An activist, Kenechukwu Okeke, has filed a criminal complaint before a chief magistrate court in Abuja against 50 persons for their alleged roles in the EndSARS protest that took place last month. The plaintiff in the suit is asking the court to bring the defendants who promoted, according to him, the EndSARS protest to justice for allegedly destroying his properties. Listed as defendants are musician Damini Ogulu, popularly known as Burna Boy, David Adeleke, also known as Davido, Folarin Falana, popularly known as Fars, and social media comedians Debo Adebayo, fondly addressed as Mr. Macaroni, and Miriam Akpaokage, also known as Taoma. Others include Peter and Paul Okoye, Innocent Idibia, also known as Two-Face, Bankole Wellington, popularly known as Banky W, Tiwa Savage, Michael Ajere, also known as Don Jazzy, and Yemi Alade. Apart from musicians, others listed are as defendants in the case include senior pastor of the Day Christian Center, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, activist Aisha Yusufu, ex-Super Eagles captain Kanu Nwankwo, and a former director general of the Bureau of Public Sector Reforms, Dr. Joe Abba. In his supporting affidavit, Mr. Okeke claims that the defendants, using Twitter and internet web source, planned active roles in the EndSARS protest, which later became violent and thereby committed an offense punishable under Section 97, Subsection 2 of the Penal Code Act C-53, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. No date has yet been fixed for the hearing of the suit. And now to our main conversation for today, everyone. The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, appears to be pushing for some major reforms in the state in a bid to cut costs, as he hinted on his intention to repeal the Public Office Holder Law of 2007, which provides for payment of pension and other entitlements to former governors and their deputies in the state. He mentioned this today while presenting the 2021 budget to the Lagos State House of Assembly. Governor Sanwo-Olu revealed that a draft executive bill will be sent to the State Assembly to repeal public office holder payment of pension for former governors and other deputies. On the 2021 budget, Governor Sanwo-Olu presented an appropriation bill of over 1 trillion naira to the lawmakers, which he called a budget of rekindled hope. The law the governor planned to abolish was enacted in 2007, and this is what it provides or what the beneficiaries stand to get. Take a look at some of the breakdown that we have for you right here. It includes a life pension equivalent to 100% of annual basic salaries of the incumbent governor and deputy, which means that a former governor and a deputy governor will get 100% of the basic salary of the present or sitting governor in office. Other benefits include accommodation, one residential house in Lagos and another in the FCT for the former governor. Also is a residential house in Lagos State for the deputy. So you can see a breakdown of some of those for you. And for transportation, 3 cars, 2 backup cars, and 1 pilot car for the ex-governor every 3 years. 2 cars, 2 backup cars, and 1 pilot car for the deputy every 3 years. These are some of the issues, or the breakdown of what the law provides in Lagos State. So you have also the issues of the furniture allowance, 300% of annual basic salary every 2 years for furniture allowance. House maintenance, 10% of annual basic salary for former governors and former deputy governors. And this will be equivalent to those who are sitting in office. So what are the implications of the statement and the plan of the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu? Let's take some deeper look into this. I have joining me tonight a senior lawyer in Nigeria, Mr. G.T. Ogunye. He joins us here in our Lagos studio. And a former member of the House of Assembly in Lagos, Honorable Sultan Adeniji Adele. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Perhaps we should, because this is lawmaking, this is about issues of policy, governance, and issues of law, too. Maybe I should begin with Mr. Ogunye. After serving for 4 years of 8 years, do elected governors or deputy deserve a pension or a life pension, as the case may be?
Given the circumstances in which we find ourselves, and because of the need for morality in government, I do not think so. I think that former public office holders in that category deserve some kind of benefits after leaving office, including security arrangement benefits, which is part of the whole package under that law. You know that in the United States of America, for example, certain public office holders, including the President of the United States, are entitled to their salaries for life. And, of course, the Secret Service always throw their weight around them and, guard them for life, So I believe so. But if you now go to the nitty-gritty...
So it is not out of place to give a life pension to former governors and deputies?
That's not what I'm
considering
saying.
What is applicable elsewhere?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you look at that law, if you were to replicate it all over the country, we have 36 governors, 36 deputy governors, and a president. So if you look at that on an ongoing basis, I don't think that it's justified in the circumstances. And that's why I said, given the circumstances in which we find ourselves as a country, that government is forever and ever borrowing money from all sorts of places, Asia, Latin America, Brazil, anywhere, to make governance ends meet. It's not justified for us to have that kind of thing. But I've said that they are entitled, to a kind of benefit after leaving office. Modest benefits, not this life pension as we currently have it in the law. And it's good that this governor is taking a bold step. This has been a major concern. There's been litigation by civil society organizations, including SERAP, on this matter. In Zamfara State, that law was invalidated by a court of law. There is a decision by Oguntoyibo J of the Federal High Court in Lagos here in 2019 for the recovery of the money paid to certain governors who are now serving as ministers and all that, who are therefore collecting double salaries, that kind of thing. There's been litigation on this thing, there's been controversy, there's been public advocacy for the abolition of this law. And so it's good, it's fitting for this governor to take this step and for him to be saying this, while presenting the budget, when we're talking about appropriation and revenue that will be available to the state to run the affairs of the state. There are certain provisions of the law that we may dilate upon, that we may discuss. And then, if the law is abolished, the next question would be, we have saving provisions. There are certain aspects that we need to look about. For example, as I've said earlier, the issue of providing security, because it's a total package. For 8 policemen, for example, under the law, 4 to guard the house, 4 to go with the governor wherever he's going, 3 state security service men, including a woman, and so on and so forth. So we have all this there. And
all right. So we'll go deeper into the details of that law. Honorable Adeniji Adele,
yes,
what is the thinking of the lawmakers when they came up? This law came up in 2007. I've even spoken with some lawmakers who were part of this process. They said, look, looking at the state and the situation of former governors that were terrible situation, and that's why they brought up this law. What are the other issues that came up in the thinking of the lawmakers when they came up with this law?
Well, thank you very much. When the law came up in 2007, like you rightly said, we looked at the lifestyle of some former governors, deputy governors who have been in shambles. Lagos State is a state where our former leaders should be seen up there. So we looked at it at the legislative level. What can we do for the former governors who have served this state diligently, who have served this state with all they have? And we looked at it and said, okay, let us do this and that for them. But like he said earlier on, it's a good thing the governor has taken a bold step, because there's a lot of outcry out there in terms of the pension for the governors and the former governors. If you look at the protest thing that just happened, a lot is one of the demands of the people, like you need to cut short the salaries of serving governors, past governors, serving honorable members, and all of that. And it was a bold step when the governor mentioned it today. Well, it's still we're waiting for the House is waiting for the executive bill from the governor. We don't know what he has in it, but we're waiting for it. But we hope it's something that will augur well with the general populace. So
at the time this law came, it was justified.
At the time it came?
Yes, in 2007.
Well, I wasn't a member of the House then, but I came in and met it as a law. I came in 2011, but even at then, we had a lot of outcry from the general populace. But I said earlier, these people have served the state. They've served the state diligently. I wouldn't say it's 100% in place, but like he rightly said initially, we need to have a kind of benefits for the former governors and former deputy governors of the state.
All right, so we're going on break now. What I just wanted to extract from you right now is, morally speaking, is it justified? But in practice, is it still justified?
Morally speaking, well, it depends on the people. When I say the people, it depends on the people of the state.
If people were not, if there wasn't any
before
outcry,
there's any
is
law,
it justified?
Before there's any law, there's what they call the public hearing, where they will call the people of the public to the House of Assembly to see to the law, and at the end of the day, it sees the light of the day. So I think it's the people that had to do with it. It's not just a thing of the House of Assembly. It's not just a thing of the executive. It's a thing of the Lagos State people at large.
All right. So it is not only Lagos State that has this kind of law, Mr. Ogunye.
Yes,
I know in Akwa Ibom,
yes,
in River State, in so many other states. But we'll look at the details of this law. And also, during the break, you will get to hear the governor on the reasons why he had to make this decision. But we'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll dive into some of the details that you need to know. Join us again.
Will be sending an executive bill to this House which will appeal that the House will help to repeal the public office holder payment of pension to former governors and deputy governors, because of our resolve that we need to lead from the front and we need to show this with Lagos State. We'll be sending this executive bill to this noble house. It is our firm belief that with the drilling revenue and the appurtenant inflationary growth rates, that we need to come up with innovative ways of keeping the cost of governance at a barest minimum while endangering the spirit of selfless service in public space. Mr. Speaker, I'm presenting a budget size of 1,155,022,413,005 naira and 82 kobo.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Let's continue our conversation with a senior lawyer, Mr. G.T. Ogunye, and a former Lagos State lawmaker, Honorable Sultan Adenijadele. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Mr. Ogunye, let's look at it, what it means, legally speaking, the implication of the decision or the plan of Governor Sanwo-Olu.
Well, there can only be one implication. He is going to present an executive bill to the House. The executive branch of government does not have the power solely to repeal a law. That's the function of the legislature. However, the executive has the power and indeed the duty in certain circumstances to present an executive bill. If it's not a private member bill, it shows that government believes that it's a policy issue and the government wants it to be done quickly. So that energizes the legislative branch of government and then increases the possibility that that bill will be passed. Now, that said, I will tell you straight away that it's when you look at the totality of the law that you begin to be worried. That law was passed or enacted on 18th of May 2007 on the eve of the handover of the then incumbent governor who assented to that law in Lagos State. And thereafter, other states, copied this law. And if you look at the provisions, talking about the governor, for example, the governor will be built 2 houses, one in Lagos State, one in Abuja Federal Capital Territory.
So if, sorry, apologies. So that to put visuals into what you're saying, representation, graphic representation into what you're saying, we have that so that as the details of what the law says in each of the segments. So yes. In terms of the accommodation now, so a house in Lagos and in Abuja for the governor. For the governor. For the deputy governor, a house in Lagos alone. Then his salary at the current rate and at the current rate that any governor may be earning. In other words, if there's increase in salary of governors, as determined by Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, governors
that governor
presently 2.2 million.
Exactly.
That's the basic salary,
yes.
Annual basic salary. So he earns the same amount.
For life, as if he never left office. So he continues to earn that salary.
Deputy governors earn 2.1 million naira. That's according to REMFA.
Yes, so there's a slew of remuneration for other officials, aid, gardener, all sorts there and all that. Then medical allowance, medical for the medicals of the governor and his immediate family members. Former governor, immediate family members. So when you look at all that, in particular, for example, just as a peg of analysis, each time, and we are going to have another one in Washington soon, there's something that is very striking. And go and check this out, January 20th, 2021, when hopefully we're going to have a new president of the United States. All their, people that want to come to Washington, they will book their hotels. In Washington, D.C., look, if in that country, all the senators all over the United States of America, governors, were to be insisting on having a house each in Washington, where do you think the country will be? Bush left Washington, he went back to Texas. Clinton was governor of Arkansas for 12 years. He left there, became a president. And from there, he went to New York with a wife, who later became a senator. Obama was somewhere, Chicago, and then came to Washington, and then he's living in Washington now. So the point I'm making is that, what does a governor need to have a house in Abuja for? At the expense of the taxpayers of his state. What do you need that for? Okay, so it's ostentatious. It's not a law that we, and that's why I said that yes, why there may be need to have some modest benefits for ex-public office holders. These outrageous provisions, our states can not afford them.
So it makes sense what the governor, the premise,
it makes a lot of
economic
sense.
reasons.
Look, it makes a lot of sense, and I will salute him. Because, and I think that maybe it's convenient for him to do that. Why? Because they have the same political tradition. If he were to be another governor of another political party, come in, they say, okay, he's angry with the other previous governor. That's why he wants to take that away from them. So it's a good thing.
Just a moment. Let me let our viewers also know, maybe you're wondering, those who could benefit from this law. The law says elected former public office holders. Take a look at those who have been elected as governors in Lagos State. There's just about 5 of them. Most of the others that had ruled or governed Lagos are being in military capacity. So we had Lateef Jakonde, Sir Michael Otedola, Bola Tinubu, Babatunde Fashola, and Akinwumi Ambode. These are the people that are supposed to be beneficiaries of this law. But, Honorable.
And the other provisions, if, for example, if a governor served 2 consecutive terms, he's entitled to a house in Abuja.
Twice.
If a governor does not serve 2 terms, he's entitled to only 1 house in Lagos. And those
so for example, Akinwumi Ambode is entitled to a house in Lagos. Bola Tinubu 2. Babatunde Fashola 2. Lateef Jakonde.
Well, if you look at that law, it talks about ex-governor. But it then goes to the interpretation section to talk about 1999 Constitution, tenure as defined in 1999 Constitution, governor as defined in 1999 Constitution. So the question for me, therefore, is, will Jakonde qualify under that law?
And Sir Michael Otedola?
1979 Constitution, and then the other one, the Constitution that was repealed, 1989 Constitution that was repealed. So the question for me is, would they be qualified under
captured under this? Okay, let me allow you're a politician. Yes, please. Politically speaking, what is the implication of the decision of this governor? On this matter? To repeal this law, the pension law that benefits his past leaders.
There's only one implication, and I think it's a positive implication. It's going to make the state channel those funds into major capital projects. It's going to make the government channel those funds into human development, human resource development. I think it's a good one from the governor.
Economically speaking.
Yes.
And in terms of policy and governance speaking.
Yes, please.
Politically speaking, because now, for me, I think it's politically audacious, isn't it?
Yes, please.
Politically, within the rank and file, because the 2 immediate past governors are from the same political party. Do you think it will ruffle any feather?
No, it's a sacrifice that they need to make for Lagos to prosper, for Nigeria to prosper. So I think it's not even going to be of any issue or hindrance on their part. I think they will be willing to let it go, because it's a sacrifice they must make for the state to develop. If you see the budget Governor Sanwo-Olu presented today, he titled the budget of rekindled hope. We are all in this. The governor, the ex-governors, the legislators, ex-governors. We need to make Lagos rise again.
Honorable, do you think that the EndSARS protest has anything to do with this, the agitation?
Well, there's been agitation before the EndSARS protest. But I feel the EndSARS protest has brought this into limelight. And I think the Lagos State governor has a listening ear, because he has listened to Lagosians, he has listened to the youth most especially. And I think this is why this is coming up at this point in time. It's a plus for Governor Sanwo-Olu, because I'm sure the youth will see him as somebody who listens to them. Lagosians will see him as someone who listens to them, because this has been in the air for a long time. So I think it's a good time. It's a perfect time coming now, and I think the EndSARS protest is a plus to this.
All right. On a final note, your final thought, Mr. Ogunye, on this one. What do you think the implication generally of this will be to governors in Nigeria, not only in Lagos?
First, I don't see what the governor has done as a publicity stunt or PR gimmick. So I commend him. And I hope that, just as it was the case by my cross-checking, that it was Lagos State that pioneered this kind of law in this dispensation, other states will take a cue and similarly abolish their own deleterious laws on this subject. 3, I hope that actions like this will flourish in government. We saturated with the cliche of cutting the cost of governance. And this cost never gets cut. Okay? And so, if the governor takes an action like this, we hope that there will be replication, not just on this kind of thing, but on other things, even on the entourage that goes about town with our public office holders and other things like that. So I don't think that this sheer symbolism. Right. I hope that it will propel a new attitude, a new faith, and a new disposition, regarding how to handle government affairs.
Thank you so much, Mr. G.T. Ogunye.
Yeah.
Honorable Sultan, it's a pleasure seeing you again. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Well, some analysts have they say that the state government will have cut at least 50 million naira annually per head for these beneficiaries. Well, we'll see how this pans out in the coming days. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye for now.